All right. So this is the first time I've ever done this before. Completely unprepared for this, and I apologize for that. But I did write some notes about it. So my name is Jason Linville. I'm 33 years old, and traveled all around the United States. I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a man of industry. I believe in hard work. I also want to say that I'm really really grateful to talk to you, and really grateful that you're listening to me. I just want to say thank you for all my friends. Now, I want to get to the question, and the question is, Brother X Life Pro asks, if and when Jesus returns, then we all Muslims and Christians must follow him and obey whatever he does and says. Is this fine with you Muslims and Christians? Absolutely, absolutely. You know, that's a pretty quick question. So that would be a pretty quick answer. Yes, but I would go ahead and take it a little bit further, and I would say there's one or two like extreme cases. One, you know, Jesus comes and let's say he's talking to me. He says, "All right, Brother Jason, what you've been doing, you completely nailed it, and I really appreciate it, and really admire you, and I could use a man like you, so I'm going to put you in charge of 200 million people." Would I agree? Would I argue? No, I wouldn't, because I know that if he put me in that position and he said I'm the man for the job, then I know that I'm the man for the job. Now the other situation would be on the other side, on the other end, the other extreme end would be, you know, Brother Jason, what you've been doing lately and pretty much what you've learned throughout your life and, you know, what you've taught to others, completely wrong. I mean, just wrong. Wrong on all levels. I'm really disappointed. And, you know, I'm going to have to ask you to, you know, go ahead and do it completely different. You know, immediately, my immediate response would be yes, absolutely. And most certainly an apology. Whatever Jesus however Jesus would direct me, that's exactly where I'd be headed towards. You know, the thing is that let every man be a liar, and the Spirit of Truth is the only one, right? The Spirit of God is the only one that directs us, you know, and the Word of God, of course. You know, Galatians, somewhere in Galatians, it says, if a man, a prophet, or an angel comes and preaches a different gospel to you than the one that you have received from us, you know, let them be condemned. You know, the things that I've learned, the things that I've practiced, the things that I've shared with others, some of those things have been wrong, and some of those things I have apologized for, and some of those things I have learned differently later on in life, and I'm very humbled about it every single time, you know. Definitely I come to a point where I understand that I don't know everything, and I'm very comfortable with that. I understand that certain things will not be revealed to me or anybody until, you know, a specific time. Okay. Second question. Brother X Life Pro. Actually, this is a statement. Another one. Hagia Sophia was unjustly taken by Muslims from Christendom when it functioned as the biggest Orthodox Christian cathedral for over 1,000 years. This is a shameful act Muslims did and still doing. Jesus and Muhammad both would love to see it back to function as a cathedral. True Muslims must return it back and issue an official apology for what the Muslims did. Okay, brother, this is very noble. of you to say. Okay, this is very noble. Suggests responsibility. You know, brother, I would hug you. I would hug you for that. Air hug, about the best I can do right now. I would make you a root beer float for that. How about that? I respect that. However, when I researched Hagia Sophia, okay, this is what I found. This is how I would compare it to. Give me a second here. Not sure if I wrote it down, but it just seems like, yeah, I probably didn't write it down. But in any case, this is what I would compare Hagia Sophia to. This is basically the template for why religion fails. You know, Hagia Sophia seems to be a beautiful girl who was raised by parents who hated her. Kicked out of the house. Well, not kicked out of the house, excuse me. Was taken by a creepy uncle who raped her while grooming her, only to be thrown out of the uncle's house and told she better get a job. It's sad, man. It's really sad. Let's see here. That's the reason why, because I'm on the wrong page. Okay, here we go. Hagia Sophia began as a Greek Orthodox church, you know, was also briefly a Roman Catholic church. Now, since 1913, it is a secular museum that brings in an estimated 3.3 million visitors yearly, all right, which is a very important point. Now, interestingly, excuse me, it is the third church, Hagia Sophia, the one you see today. The previous two were destroyed. It is now controlled by neither Islam, okay, that's a very important point, neither controlled by Islam or Christianity. Religion, or a people who follow a religion, are not in control of Hagia Sophia. The government of Turkey is in control of Hagia Sophia. Now here's something I want to platform a point here, because this, I think, is a very good point to make. You know, something that hopefully we can bond on. Okay, we can bond with. The first church was destroyed when the emperor at the time, the Roman emperor at the time, ordered all non-Christian temples to be destroyed. Okay, now the preacher there at the Hagia Sophia was opposed to this. Okay, he was very vocal about this in opposition to this. You know, in other words, let the pagans be the pagans, and then we'll minister to them and send missionaries to them as much as possible. But it's a crime to tear down their buildings without them saying that we want our buildings to be torn down. You know, there's a very good example in the book of Acts. I believe it's in the 2nd chapter. But the people came upon their own will. Okay, once Christianity was spread to them, and then I believe that these were Greek people. I can't be for sure, but I do know these were people that did convert to Christianity. They came upon their own free will, and they brought their books of curiosities. Okay, curiosities means occult. They're occult practices, ritual magic practices, and burned them. Put them into a bonfire. You know, but you know, the people that were, you know, the apostles that were spreading this Christianity at the time didn't take these books away from them and burn them. These people came upon their own convictions and did this. So, I mean, following in that spirit, I would say that, you know, I would say not to tear down somebody's temple, even though, of course, pagan. In any case, so guess what happens after this preacher at the Hagia Sophia is in opposition to the empire? All of a sudden, he gets rioters that come and burn everything down. Haven't we heard that before? Second church was destroyed, essentially by football hooligans. Which this is something that you would kind of understand about Hagia Sophia, because Hagia Sophia was a place that was a sanctuary for anybody, right? So especially criminals. Criminal comes, says, I want to convert, I want to change my life. Hagia Sophia says, you're welcome here, you're going to be a monk, you're going to live here, you're not going to go anywhere else, no one will hurt you. Well, these chariot races and stuff like that, there was a disagreement. So the one team ran to Hagia Sophia, said, I don't want no part of this life that I'm leaving right now, and I want to be living in the monastery there, Well, the chariot hooligans decided that they were going to burn it down. They burnt it down. Now the third church is the one that you see today. Now something you might want to know about that. The church had materials from all over the empire brought in at that time. Baalbek, for people who watch Ancient Aliens. I don't. But anyways, Baalbek, Greece, Egypt, Syria, the Black Sea, all these places, materials were brought from there: stone, wood, paints, things like that. Also, there were mathematicians and physicists that were also employed in this construction. This construction supplied above 10,000 jobs to people, laborers and craftsmen and mathematicians and physicians. This was cutting edge technology at the time. 5 years later, ceiling collapses. Ain't that something? Which of course it was renovated now. All right. Hagia Sophia has been renovated many times. But through this renovation process, I think it just got old, and people stopped doing it. Maybe they just got tired of it. The reason being is because Hagia Sophia is built right upon an earthquake zone, so that constant vibration basically makes the structure, attacks the integrity of the structure constantly. I work in industry, so I understand what vibration does, and it's a killer. It's a killer. Eventually things will fall. Now, Islam comes. Okay. Islam comes when they conquer, the Islamic conquest and everything like that. And they go and they kill everybody. That's pretty much what happens in a conquest, right? And here's something. Initially, because I'd heard these stories about Islam a few times, about just the brutality of the war, the practices in war, of the Islamic Caliphate, Hagia Sophia was a place, you have to understand that the first two churches were burnt down, destroyed, by their own people, really. Christians, destroyed this place. Maybe it was pagans, because they were around too, but regardless, their own countrymen, destroyed this place, burnt it down. But it would always house people that, were criminals, things like that. It was a sanctuary. So the third cathedral was built to withstand attacks. Okay? So when the Islamic conquests came and laid siege to Constantinople and became Istanbul at that point, Hagia Sophia was the last to go. And it was housing elderly, women, children, men who were disabled, that infirm, that couldn't defend the city. And the Islamic invaders raped the women and killed all the disabled men, and then sold the children into slavery. And so this is the irony, right? Because Islam is brutal with these things, but almost immediately renovations were done to Hagia Sophia again, and it was made beautiful once again, because when they got there, some of those doors, like the doors weren't even on the hinges anymore. You know what I mean? I guess they just got tired of cleaning up the place. I mean, it was in a lot of disrepair. And, Islam will go, through these conquests and then clean the place up. That's ironic, right? But, then it goes into all religions, all of them have this irony to them. If you look into the Old Testament, you're going to see the Jews that come, the way that Israel as a nation was carved out was by slaughtering everything that breathed, livestock, men, women, children, and in some instances they were not even allowed to even touch the resources, that were left over after the war. They actually would put everything, livestock, gold, wood, stone, weapons into a pile, light it on fire. You know what I mean? And then it goes right back to Hagia Sophia. This was an Eastern Orthodox church, a Greek Orthodox church, excuse me, and Roman Catholics came over there, slaughtered everybody, and started putting all this Roman Catholic stuff on there, just so that 50 years later, the Greek Orthodox, faith could come back and kill off all the Roman Catholics. I mean, it's just, it's shameful. It's really shameful, that we do this to ourselves and we do this to each other. This is why the golden rule is love your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself, upon which all of the law hangs. The law being the Old Testament. And that can get into another conversation. I'm not going to go there today. But immediately. Now, here's the thing. That being said, we kind of move on to the present day. Now, the present day, it's kind of a mix between Christianity and Islam, because you will see, here's kind of like the catch, because Islam really just covered up all the Christian stuff. Like, they didn't actually take it down; they covered it up. Just plastered, like frescoes on it or something like that. They put a lot of Islamic calligraphy art on there. And then if you want to see what was inside the Christian, what was inside of the Christian church at that time, you would actually have to destroy the Islamic art. So it's kind of like the two just have to coexist, or the Christianity has to be covered up. Well, what they did actually is they just decided that we're going to get the main Christian stuff and then leave the Islamic art the way it is. You know what I mean? Because the only way that you can actually look and see, like the inside of the dome of Hagia Sophia, the only way you're going to see what was painted there originally, the Christian iconography, is to destroy the Islamic calligraphy, because of the materials that it was built out of. That's the only way. So it's just kind of a compromise at this point. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like, well, so you can blame Islam, or this is just one idea of way of looking at it. You can blame Islam for coming in and covering everything up, say, hey, that's not the way it was intended for, so we're going to take it down. But then you have to realize that Christianity was also to blame, because the Roman Catholics did the same thing when they came in and they said that this belongs to us now. They started putting all the Roman Catholic stuff in there, you know. It was never intended to be a Roman Catholic church. This was a Greek Orthodox church. So let it be the way it is, I think. But here's the next point. Economics. I think that the reason why, I truly believe this, and I remember Imran Nazir Hussein, saying this, you know, and he hinted to it now. If you listen to him very carefully, he hints at things, you know. But he said, but some, you know, he is saying these things as well. Give back Hagia Sophia to the Christians, and then call Istanbul Constantinople, you know. But the thing is there was a question brought to him. He said, what about all the reparations to Hagia Sophia? He said, I didn't say anything about that. He said, I'll just give it to the Christians and let them handle it. Well, I think that Hagia Sophia is a liability that is going to cost too much money and is going to cost too much headache. I don't think that the Catholic Church or the Christian Church, Orthodox Church, is willing to put itself through that amount of stress. Now, if Hagia Sophia, now here's the next part of that. If Hagia Sophia as a church was to generate enough income in order to fix it, I think there may be an interest in it. However, being that Hagia Sophia generates 3.3 million visitors a year, I think the economic value to it, pretty much speaks for its own, for it to be a secular museum. I mean, like I said, noble intentions, brother. I do understand this, but you also have to understand that through the Islamic conquests, your Christian population in Turkey is actually 0.2%. That's not even 1% of the population. There's just not a Christian voice there enough to push it into that direction. As a matter of fact, where you're going to get, I believe, where you're going to get, where you're going to get that push is actually from America. You know, you're going to get people from America who say that they want it to be Christian church. You know, anything else is probably going to say we want this converted back to a mosque. You know what I mean? There's a far greater push to make Hagia Sophia turn it back to a mosque. But like I said, it's all about the money, and it makes more money as a museum. You know, that's just the fact. Here's something though, and this brings us back to common ground. You see what I'm saying? This is one of the rare instances in history on planet Earth, okay, where you and I can come together in the same place and pray, right? Where you and I can come together in the Spirit of God. We can shake each other's hand. We can hug each other. We can share food. We can share stories, you know. We can share experiences. we can give each other our phone number. You know, those types of things. Very, very rare. Very rare when this happens. But I think that this is an opportunity, okay? And if people see it that way, instead of division, I think that we can find unity. We can at least find a common ground in Hagia Sophia, if only in the tragedy, okay, that is Hagia Sophia. It's a serious tragedy, man. It is. It really is. Religion fails. That's why Christianity is a relationship. You know, it's a relationship with God, because when you grow your relationship with God, then no one can tell you. No one can just, you know, draw up a what is that called? You know, the mandates in Islam. Fatwa. You know, no one can just draw up a fatwa now and just say go to war. You know, say no. I don't think that's not what I heard. I mean, I didn't hear the word of God tell me go to war. So, you know. Don't know what to tell you, buddy. Mufti. In any case, let me see what else I got on this page right here. Dome of the Rock. Okay. Now, I was talking to a brother about this, and he said, if that's the case, if they're going to give back Hagia Sophia, why don't they give back the Dome of the Rock? Okay? The Dome of the Rock is actually Islamic. You know, the dome, okay? And I'm not talking about the rock. I'm talking about the dome. I'm talking about the structure itself. You know, unfortunately, you know, this is kind of like something that I think a lot of religions share. That they, I mean, I talked to a Christian brother about this. He didn't even know that. As a matter of fact, neither did I. If you want to know the truth, I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was. The Dome of the Rock was built Islamic. It was, you know, built by Muslims for Muslims, you know. So the structure itself is not Christian. Although Crusaders went there and did try to convert it to, or did convert it, you know, to a church or something like that. And of course it was taken back by Saladin, I believe. Yeah, should be. But in any case, here's the next thing. The Dome of the Rock, the Rock, okay, now this is regarded as the holiest place on the planet Earth by the Jewish religion. And they built the temple there. And I believe it was the second temple that they built there, okay? Now the Romans came and destroyed the temple and built upon the exact same spot a temple to Jupiter, which is the head god of the Roman, you know, pantheon. And then after that, you know, Islam comes again, and then they build a mosque, you know, and they, you know, some claim that Muhammad descended with Gabriel and prayed with Moses and Abraham and Jesus from that spot, you know. So I'm just saying this is actually really interesting because the thing is like you know, Christianity or Judaism comes and says this is the holiest place on the world because of, they said that this is the rock that Isaac was about to be sacrificed on, right? The Romans come, build a temple to their main deity there. Islam comes and says this is a pretty major important spot too. I mean, it's really interesting why this one spot was so important, even to people who weren't even part of a monotheistic faith. You know what I mean? Now, you know, here's another thing, interesting fact about the Dome of the Rock. Sometimes Jews don't even want to go there to pray, you know, because they say that it's so holy, and they don't know exactly where the second temple was built. So if that's the case, then they don't know where the Holy of Holies were. You know what I mean? That would be kind of like the place, that would be the dwelling place of God, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And, you know, of course, if you go in there and you're not of the right mind, then you die. You know, something like that. So Jews are not actually allowed to go there and pray. But, you know, if all Islamic control was given up of that spot, I'm sure that they would figure it out, right? But here's the next thing. What do you want to build there? You know? I mean, do you want to build a third temple? Right? If I was talking to my friend? I mean, is that the intention? Because if that's the intention, then that pretty much says that we're going to see the Antichrist, right? Like that's like the tipping point there, isn't it? The third temple. So I would say leave that as it is, and that was just kind of something I'm just kind of letting you, you know, in that reference, you know, from Hagia Sophia to the Dome of the Rock, just want to kind of give you, you know, an analogy, you know. Keep it as a mosque. That's what I'd say. Go ahead. Keep it as a mosque. But don't, you know, forbid the Christians and the Jews to come, since it's such a holy site, right? But do not build a third Jewish temple there. I'm very happy with the way it is. Okay, so last one here. Brother X Life Pro suggests, last one, I have a humble suggestion to offer to our Christian brothers. Please pray to the one Lord sincerely to provide humanity the ability to see truth from falsehood. Unfortunately, we can pray. We will pray. We will pray. And I'm going to ask you to pray with me. But I just want to let you know that the times that we're living in now, may not apply. People may not be able to see the truth. And that's very unfortunate. But if I'm a believer, then I will understand that we are in the last days of the end times. And the last days will be the times of Noah. It's a very tragic thing. But brothers and sisters, if you're watching, if you would pray with me, if you would pray with me, on that very suggestion. Let me begin. O Lord, O God, I pray that you reveal your truth in the Spirit, in the loving Spirit. Lord God, I pray that you grant peace where there is no peace. You grant wisdom where there is no wisdom. Lord, I pray that you grant strength to hold to your standard in the face of adversity. The enemy is very wicked, with fiery, poisonous darts to infect our mind, to poison our daily activities, O Lord. O Lord, I pray that the lost among the sheep return, and then are found and are taken care of by the rest of us, by the brethren. In Jesus' name I pray. Well, y'all, this is not the best video, but this is my first video, and hopefully you forgive me for that. And on to the next video.